Let's begin. Hi, everyone. Doesn't this look exciting? Furniture's already flying. We have we have the Siddhartha sessions on how to transition from being inside to retreat into a new world. Maria, Peter, Tim, and Hector the Great maybe are here with us to share their wisdom.
Thank you. Stop.
Well, thank you all very much for joining us today. His new title is The Great Maybe.
The Great Maybe.
Yes, and I'm very excited to have Maria, Peter, and the Great Maybe Hector Marcel with us today, because what we're going to talk about is we've been talking a lot about how to get into retreat. We've been talking about how to get prepared, all the things that we need to do. But a lot of things we don't talk about is how do we exit retreat? How do we take the lessons and the transformations, the suggestions, the newness that has come out of the realizations of retreat? And how do we then incorporate it into our new life, or the new life that we want to make, that we left to go into retreat? And then how do we incorporate that? So that's what we're going to talk about today. And all the blood, sweat, and tears of retreat, the glory of retreat, and then the glory of reentry. You know, you've been in orbit, and then you're going to be coming in, and it's kind of like, we'll talk about it. I was going to start with something else, but we'll talk about it. So we have three people up here who have done extensive retreat, not 3-year retreat yet, but I have a feeling they might be thinking about it. But they have done extensive, long, month-long, 3-month-long retreats, Diamond Way retreats. And I thought they'd be great to have guests on our show today, right? And to learn about and hear about what they have to say. Now, they are also allowed to ask me questions too, but I'm the primary question asker, so I don't have to say much. But what I'd like to start with, I'm going to start with Maria down here. Could you talk about if you can remember your first retreat that you ever did? Okay.
Are you sure?
Yes, because I think it's going to be really helpful. And what was it like in that retreat? What was new about it? And then what did you do when you entered back into your real life afterwards?
Hello, everyone. Who is actually going to do the first retreat ever? No? Yeah, like first retreat, like you didn't do retreats before. Some people, okay. Our first retreat, like we did recently retreat, we just finished and came here 2 weeks ago. And that was our retreat number 10. Yeah, long retreat. So some time ago, I don't know, like 10 years ago or something, less. When we did our first 1 month or 4 weeks retreat, it was in Nizhny Novgorod at the summer house of my mom, like outside the city. And it was September, October. And everything that could go wrong went wrong on this retreat. It was not easy. It suddenly in October it got snow. Everything got completely covered with snow. It was freezing cold, and it's a summer house. There is no warm. So we were meditating in. I will remember I wore 3 pants, 3, 4 different jackets and warm winter thing inside. Inside, that's how cold it was. And honestly, I didn't have all the instructions that you have right now. We didn't really know how to do retreats. We just like, let's do retreat. Yeah. Without any instructions. And we didn't know how to do tormas, how to do protection, nothing. And still it was hard, but it was amazing. There was still magic, and we still remember this retreat and we laugh so much about certain things. But the question was how to come back, right? Or what was the question? I kind of wanted to say that I realized after doing like many short retreats, like 1 month retreats, several months retreats, even you do several days, don't try to be perfect. Try to enjoy. Not like my schedule is like I created a schedule, like I don't know, 3, 4, 5 meditations. I'm doing this yoga, this schedule. Relax. Sometimes maybe you don't need to follow it. Sorry. Especially because Geshe Michael just told us, find joy. This retreat is about finding joy. And for me personally, it's so relevant to find joy. I realized in this last retreat, it's a big realization for me. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so serious. I'm so serious about my practice, about my life, about my work, that inside of me, there's some kind of tension. Even when I'm retreat, I'm like, serious, I'm going to meditate, I'm going to do yoga, I'm going to do, I'm like, and then we come here and I'm still in the mood, how I can be more joyful. And Geshe Michael starts to talk about joy. I'm like, oh my God, why? Now I'm very serious about finding joy. I'm like, that's my new task. I have to find joy. I'm going to be serious about that. To make my plan. So my advice, I'm planting seeds. I like really try to be joyful. Don't try to be perfect. Try to be quiet. That's really, I think, is cool and important. I personally like to be quiet because our life is so busy. I don't know about you, but my life is busy. Many people, work, projects, dharma, friends, everything, husband, like a lot of things going on. Yes, you're on the list. I mean, it's busy, busy, busy. And then you go into retreat. I don't know about you. For me personally, first several days, my mind is still busy. Like I'm in a quiet desert, but my mind is still trying to, I don't know, rush and run and, I don't know, make plans, make decisions. I think first thing to do is to try to a little bit slow down, try to be quiet, and then enjoy these rare moments in our life. It's so rare to make a pause in your life and just slow down. And I personally decided that I want to do the next several days more gratitude about good things that I have in my life, because I think that's one of the ways to bring joy back or find more joy. And I have to stop talking, I think.
So what I think, what you brought up is exactly where I wanted to hit in this particular talk. Brian, could you put the picture up that I sent you or sent into the chat, please? So I want to talk about the bardo. Okay. And what I mean by that is like the space before going into retreat and the space before going out of retreat. It's like there's this kind of in between space, right? And Maria actually seemed to focus more on going into retreat. So I was like, I think let's focus on that sort of transition time, and this is Mama G, she transitioned last week, right? So, and this is about 15 minutes before she died, okay? Right, so And I've been thinking a lot about that space, right? Like, how do we move between, um, how do we move between different aspects of our life? Like, how do we, like, you all came from wherever you came from, all your different countries, all different parts of the world. Some of you flew here, some of you drove here. I don't think anyone walked or rode a bicycle. But we all traveled from somewhere. So there was a transition between starting before you left or before your home life, and then you got here, right? And then we're making a transition between today and tomorrow afternoon, where we're going to be going into retreat. And then there's also a transition when the retreat ends, and then there'll be a transition going home, right? And I think those transition points, that's what I want to discuss here. Like, what is that like? And how do we get ready for those transitions? And how do we move through them? Because it's not always graceful. This day with her was a lot of grace, but it was fucking hard. Excuse me. Right? It was really hard. And I bring this up not like very purposefully, because we're trying to transform ourselves, right? We're trying to transform ourselves and become a being who may not have to go through this ever again. Her name is Mama G, which is a Sanskrit. The G part is like Geshe La, right? The La part, like it has this. I always thought she was a teacher, right? And so guess what? She gets to teach us about transitions, amongst many other things. So Hector, I'm wondering, like, thinking about your retreats, like the transition times, how have you thought about it, and how have you gracefully or not so gracefully navigated it?
Thank you. I'm sorry about Mama G, but also grateful that she had someone like you to connect with. I'm thinking about, I've done 9-month-long retreats, I think 9, and many small ones. Like Maria, my first one it looked really good on the outside. And on the inside, we have a saying in America or New York saying it's a dumpster fire. Which means, a big box where the garbage gets in. And if that is on fire, it's that crazy, right? So on the inside, it was that. But on the outside, it looked really good. I thought I had to copy Geshe Michael, and I would blindfold myself inside a cave in Nepal, especially when the little monks came up to offer tea. I couldn't see them, so I was very formal, and I was trying to do all the right things. But I think that's necessary. So if it's your first retreat or your first couple of retreats, you have to find what is your idea of entering and play. There's no problem. Yeah. It was very useful, right? That first retreat for you. Yeah.
We learned a lot.
Yeah, same. And I learned a lot. I'm a little embarrassed when I look back. I'm like, oh, what did I think? But I wouldn't be here if I didn't do that. Yeah. And then I did it differently. And then I did it differently. And then I did it mucho con español, si quieren, un poco. No. No. So sorry and thank you. So I've learned over those 9 experiences that there is something inside me that remained constant. Yeah, that I could find, and I hope this for you, that you can find when you spend your days in silence, finding joy and doing your meditations, that you can find a version of you that is profound and different to your everyday. And that's the building of your future enlightened self, right? That's why we do retreat, to find that part of us, the deepest part of us, that is your future Buddha in development. Yeah. So I try, when I come out of retreat, when I do that bardo, yeah, to A, keep one thing very secret about my experience of retreat that I would never tell anyone. And so if you're spending 5 days, 3 days, a week, a month, there must be one moment, your best moment, where you saw this profound hope, this beauty inside of you. And it changed like that. And it changes everything. Please never tell anyone. You can write it down. You can draw a triangle or 2 triangles to remember, whatever your special way. Yeah. And that's your secret to your future Buddha. Yeah. And so they know you've made one extra step. And so that's part A. I keep one thing very secret. And then I try and plant seeds with other people to give them hope that they can do retreats. So I teach or encourage people to do retreat. And I know I'm telling them about the secret, but I never say the secret. I'll say something else. Does that make sense? And so that power inside me grows. Okay, that power inside me grows. And if anything, that's my number one thing out of every retreat. And it builds retreat after retreat after retreat. The other thing I do is I make sure that at the end of the retreat, when you're finishing this experience, your personal experience, you decide to plant one powerful seed that closes the retreat and makes you look at the entire retreat as perfect. There was nothing wrong. There was no problem. Everything that happened was either cleaning away an obstacle or creating your future awakened self. And then lastly, I think that future version of you is watching, right? We usually say, oh, that future Buddha is excited for you to reach them. I like flipping that because they would not exist without your effort in retreat. You created your future awakened self by tiny efforts. So they need you like you need them. Yeah. So every second in your mind can be that beautiful relationship with your future awakened self. And then, like you all said, enjoy. Like really, if there's a problem, don't worry, the problem disappears. Yeah. So I keep my secret. And I, like one secret, I talk about all the other things. And then I dedicate that secret. Yeah. And that I try for the next one to be different, better. Yeah.
Cool. So Peter, as Hector was speaking about his secret,
Don't tell me.
I won't. It made it like where I went with it. I was like, what is his secret? Like, please just tell me. Like, just But I was thinking about like, what is that essence that we're looking for, right? Like that like we're part of retreat, at least in my experience, and I don't have as much as these folks up here do in this lifetime.
But you're doing the last one. Yeah.
I don't know I don't know. Is there's this, you begin to learn about yourself. Like you really get to learn you, like who is you? Like we're not talking about the you that you need to deny in order to see emptiness directly. Like that gotcha, like we're working on that, right? But like there's a you, right? That's, you get to just be with you and you. Like there's nobody else there. There's no other eyes on you except the eyes that you bring in, and maybe all the voices of all the other eyes looking at you that I think are judging you still, but they're not watching you. Those are my problems. But I think part of this, the secrets, right, I think might be something related to discovering about who you are. And I'm wondering, Peter, without revealing any secrets, unless you would like to, you know, what is that path like in the sense of discovering yourself? And then and then transitioning out into the person that everyone thought was Peter before, but now Peter might be a version like 8.4 at that point with a nice operating system upgrade.
Thank you, Tim, for the cool question. I want to actually start by thanking Tim for his role in ACI for the past, we met in number 1, right? 16 years. You're still here. I can't believe it. And I remember when I was sitting where you were sitting, and the 3-year retreat, people were going into 3-year retreat, and I was like,
And the snow was like
the snow. No, it was a wild time when the 3-year retreat here started, and I feel really honored and grateful that I can talk to you about whatever Tim asks me, and I'm very honored to be with Hector and with Maria on the bench. And I mean that it's rare that we come together and talk about retreats. It feels maybe a little bit normal, it's day 5 or day 6 on the schedule. Everyone is tired, you're going to go into retreat, and then there's another class. It feels like a sausage of normality. And I want to highlight that it's rare to talk about retreat. It's rare to have people who want to go into retreat. It's rare to have people who understand that retreat might be important. And that brings me to your question, Tim. I think I really love the topic of the class, actually, because we are right now in the transitioning phase, still out of retreat. So we're kind of very exactly at that point. And I believe, our close students, when we talk about retreat, we're always trying to say, look, this is a handicraft that you can learn. You don't need to be an academic. You don't have to be specifically smart. You cannot be talented to do retreat, but you have to learn it. And the way to learn it is not through a PowerPoint presentation or through a theory book. It's like bicycling. You can do a PowerPoint about how to start a bicycle, but it's not going to do much for you. You have to get on the bike and fall down a couple of times. And
more than a couple of times.
And then, Maria gave advices which I enjoyed a lot, and I thought, what can I share with what Tim also asked me? I think one of the most tricky things with retreat is that everyone is really different, and some people need the schedule, because if you are slacking out while you're in retreat, you are wasting precious karma in ways you cannot imagine. And if you push too much and you go too hard, you can go crazy. And I'm literal, not metaphoric. So one of our retreat rules is there are 4 points you have to remember. Number 1, stay alive. Number 2, stay sane. Number 3, stay happy. Number 4, if those 3 work, do as much as you can. As soon as you get unhappy, you're close to getting crazy. So, how do you transition out of retreat? You need to learn that by watching yourself closely. We have rituals, you're going to go through rituals, but I would recommend to everyone, I think it's a no-brainer, that you give yourself some time after retreat before you go to Disneyland. Or I do something like Geshe Michael's story is unbelievable. Maybe you're going to share that. Like he said, when he did his 3-year retreat, 3 years, 1,000 days. I nearly get a cramp in my chest when I think about 1,000 days with one person in one room. They didn't kill each other. Incredible. And then he came out. Obviously, you will, if you knew, retreat is like going into, Eva says, Nara land. What's that called? Nadia land. Thank you. You open a zipper, which is the ritual. You step into that zipper, you close it behind you, and the world changes. You don't recognize it maybe immediately, but something happens, and you go deeper and deeper, and the things that you did before retreat become huge. And if it's good things, that's good. If it's not so good things, you're in trouble. And so Geshe Michael, after 1,000 days of retreat, came out, and friends brought him to Disneyland. I still can't believe that. To McDonald's. Oh my God. So if you're not used to retreat, you think maybe what's the problem? You feel everything, like you're more open. and you have to be careful. It's like a newborn. The mind is newborn. It's still fresh. Every input feels much, much, much bigger. You're super surprised that people start talking to you. You're like, because you're used, for a while to not speak. So one last thing. This time I realized that the idea that the retreat is over is a mental fence, which doesn't have to be there if you don't want it to be there. So a way to carry over the experience, the good experience. The bad experiences stay behind the fence, but the good experiences, you can actually say, well, it's not over yet, baby, because we're not done. Unless you are seeing yourself in a body of light, it's not over yet. And I'm playing a little bit with that, and it's kind of cool.
Cool. Yeah, no. Yes, you answered a question. I have Maria Nesterov. Out in the hallway there's a box that has it's like you can drop pieces of paper in. Could you bring that and put it up here, please? Thank you. So I like this. This is a cool way of thinking about it, because what we're going to do tomorrow, a little bit like close to this time, a little bit earlier, is we're going to zipper up, right? Can you bring it up here, please? Thank you. And we're going to be closing the retreat boundary. There's fine. Okay. And it is like a zipper, right? We're going to step through. We're going to create a mental, I like this, the great language, mental fence, which is also, we're going to create a physical boundary. And for those of you online, we're also going to be doing it for you wherever you are in the world, so that you can create what's the word I'm looking for? Safe space. I'm thinking of creating conditions for you to go into that transformative space, right? Where it is safe, right? We push out all the negative energies. We push out all the negative influences, right? And then we zipper it up, like after going to the bathroom, zip up your pants, zip, right? And then your pants stay on, right? Your retreat stays on, okay? Earlier today, I was told that sometimes my examples are a little bit like not respectful. And then my answer to that question was, that's why we have so many different teachers in 5 houses.
I'm with him.
Because it's for different personalities. So I apologize if my examples are a little, they're not your flavor.
If they remember it, they're good examples.
Right. But that's why we have different teachers for different minds and different people, right? That's anyway. So you zip it up, zip. Right? Don't walk around like no, seriously. You don't walk around with your zipper down. You don't, right? And the same thing with retreat. Zip it up, right? Because it's literally like it does something for. I promise you, if you don't do it, I have messed up retreats because I didn't do it properly. Okay, so don't think it's this weird ceremony that we have these like beautiful torma cakes that Sivan's going to make tomorrow that we're going to go put like outside a fence, and we're going to put these Sanskrit letters on these markers and put them someplace, and we're going to tell all the demons to go relax outside of our safe zone, right? Don't think it's Like, don't think that way. Like, we're creating the mental conditions and physical conditions to transform, right? I forget where I was going with that. Zipper, zip it. You know,
You brought the books for some reason.
well, that's going to be the end. Okay. But what I'd like to ask Maria, right, is that, you know, we're in this container of transformation. Yep, see, it's all going. We're in this container of transformation, right? And then how, when you unzip the other side, zip, and you step on through, how have you made that step through in a way? I might kind of asking in two ways. Like, have you made any mistakes in those transitions? And what have you learned to make it smoother for yourself?
You mean when you finish retreat?
When you finish, yes.
Thank you, Tim. First of all, two more things I wanted to say. In retreat, you will have ideas, something you want to do later when you come back to your normal, usual life. Write them down, okay? There will be some special things. Oh, can be small even, like we had, I don't know, Peter was writing, I want to change the way chairs are around the table, like small things, like I want to change something at home. I want to do this. Some things will come to you in retreat. Write them down. Now, when you come out of retreat, to me, very often what happens is I start to doubt. I'm like, nah, that was like stupid or something. Why would I do that? I start to doubt my own list of things I wanted to do. So my advice, don't believe that. Do it anyway. It came to you in a very special space, physical space, mental space. It's something special for you. Don't believe that it is something wrong or do it. Do it anyway. Try to do it, okay? And the second thing, I actually like the name of this class, Transition into Your New You. And it is going to be new you after retreat. But also don't think you are going back to old world. Okay? It's not that there is a world outside of your retreat. You are new and you're going back to the old world. No. While you were in retreat, you were planting seeds all the time. You were changing and the world also changed. So it is the world you are going to step in after you zip out, or how do you call it? Zip down and go out. The world is also new. Don't think it's old. It's also new. You transformed it. Okay? It's new you and new world. Everything is new. And the question was, sorry, Tim? Oh, mistakes, yes.
Well, mistakes and successes.
We had different exits from retreats. Sometimes we would do it super fast, like meaning next day we fly, then we teach, then we like non-stop. And it was okay also, actually, I have to say. It was okay. And this time we actually had about a week transition. And I have to say, I like it. It's nice, even when you fly probably from Diamond Mountain back to your home, but maybe it takes several days at least, or I don't know if you can, of course, if you can, to just contemplate a little bit, like slow down. Maybe don't go crazy immediately, okay? Just take several days. And last thing, on my last day of retreat, I like to do a dedication of all practices that I did in retreat, of the whole retreat. And I like to spend maybe even half of the day or even whole day, like kind of dedication practice. What kind of changes do I want to see in my world because of those practices that I did? That's what I like to do.
Cool. I like that, because what I'm hearing is you can rush. You could rush back, right? But I found in my own experience that like part of the retreat is not just when you unzip the boundary and say, okay, everyone can come back in and, come back to the boundaries, and then you go back to your old life, is that you take time. And one of my good friends just finished a long retreat, and the transition time was like, it took a long time. And I was like, what's going on? And I'm like, oh, something happened to this person. And they're not rushing to like go back to plugging back in the same ways. Like what works and what doesn't work for them anymore. Like what's important now and what are they leaving behind? What's priority and what's Instagram scrolling? Like, and I mean that, like, what in your life is just Instagram scrolling, or, and I wanted to ask you, Hector, like, at least in my experience, I've come out of retreat and be like, oh my God, I got to change everything right now. Like everything has to change. I'm wondering if you've ever had that experience and how did you navigate it? Because I don't know, for me, it wasn't easy to make all the changes immediately or over years, perhaps.
Yeah, thanks for that. And I loved your insights, Maria. I also keep a list, but I keep a list of now that story I can just put away and not think about it and focus on retreat. And I will look for the magic later. So it's good to put a list. For me, it's don't interrupt me. Okay, that's over there. Might be a special message. So that's cool. And then for coming out of retreat, I've often had, Three Jewels is a big thing. It's open to the public, people coming in and out. It's a big shop in New York. So there's 1,000 problems every day, to fix: money, process, teachers, customers, Yelp, whatever. So that's always at the top of my mind, and all the mechanics of that. So if you have a business, if you have a family thing, you'll have those thoughts in your mind. And I think after 9 retreats, I know it's better for me to, after unzipping the retreat, opening the retreat boundary, I give myself a gift of at least one day where I'm not Hector. Yeah, at least one day I'm not Hector. And because I do my retreats usually in some place I've never been before, in some country I've never been before, or a language I've never spoken before, yeah, I know the place seems strange. Yeah, it's not familiar. So that one day that I give myself as a gift, I include in my planning of the retreat. So if my retreat is 50 days, I will do 51 days is my retreat. That one day after coming out, I will go and do something I have never done before opening the phone, before Instagram. And I will go to some part of the village. I will sit with a strange old man in Indonesia, not speak the language. Yeah. And I will just be the person that was in retreat. I will create a seed to remember that month, those 50 days or whatever it is. And I will, like Peter said, I will hold that luminous image of the divine thing that I'm creating in retreat. And each one of you have that. So my transition is literally be weird for a day. Like, don't do anything familiar.
And you're not weird?
Well,
when are you not weird?
I'm still in retreat. Do you get the feeling that I'm trying to share with you? Yeah, and it's in those pauses, those moments where you get to, neuroscientifically, you say it's rewiring your brain to a new habit. Yeah, your meat will change because your thoughts change. Your luminous image of you and all the perfect things you tried to do, good or bad, doesn't matter. You planted the seed. Yeah, those luminous images exist inside you. So for me, that transition is, can I burn that into the meat? Yeah, so the brain does the whatever stupid thing we say, the brain does. Yeah, in neuroscience. So that in that new identity, while keeping that secret alive, inside of me, which has to do with a realization or something. And then I don't change. I see, like Maria said, the world outside me. I look for what's new. I get curious, to look for evidence that the change that happened inside exists outside. So I get excited to see, when I see the people at Three Jewels, the old story will want to, luminous image will want to make you normal. And I tell my mind, look for the magic. Where is it? Where is it? And I don't know. Sometimes I can hold that for a month, sometimes for 2 days, just try to look for what's new. And that will help too. I'm interested in you. Like, what's your most, can you share your most powerful or extraordinary moment where things really did shift for you in a way that never before? And what did you do coming out of retreat and having that shock turn into bliss or something? I don't know.
My very first retreat I went on was, it was before I met my teacher. I was in search of, and I was in the Bahamas at the Shivananda Center. And it was there was a lot of silence. It was not quite silent retreat, but it definitely was like going to a brand new place. It was like get on a plane, go to a place you've never been before, never been to an ashram before. And it's a wild place because right next to it is the most ostentatious, sorry, translators, the most incredibly, there's a resort right next to it called Atlantis. And it is a vacation place for people to spend a lot of money at, and they do. And then you have this ashram right next to it. It's like, it could be an affliction or bliss, like depending how you look at it. It's painted pink, by the way. And I remember I was talking to, near the end of the retreat, I was talking to a guy, and he was telling me all about the phases of the moon. And he was like, I can't believe you've never noticed it before. And I was like, sorry, dude. But he explained it to me. And then he looked at me and said, don't change your life. And I said, what? And he said, don't change your life. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, I said, but all these things, like, and now I know about the moon, like, you just enlightened me. But it was about all these things I wanted to change in my life in that moment. Like, I wanted to change my diet. I wanted to change how I practice. I wanted to change where I worked. I wanted to change the types of people I was hanging out with. All the things that I thought were helping me that weren't helping me, right? And he was like, look, he said, just choose one thing. Like, maybe you want to eat better. Maybe you want to change your job. Maybe you want to be a kinder person, something like that. But choose one thing. Don't try to do all 10 at once. Impossible, right? Although I would argue with him differently now. But we start with, like, what does Shantideva say? Give vegetables before you give your eyeball. Like, with the same thing with changes, or how to change, is like, choose one thing to change, and then you get used to these transitions, right? Where you get used to when the lamas, we're going this direction, and the lama says, oh, now we're going left, and everyone goes, okay, we all go this way, right? Like little ducklings. Okay, mama, we're going this way, and you just get used to the change, and transitions become the norm, not the exception, right? So I didn't answer his question. I kind of avoided it a little bit, but that would be my big advice, is the transitions, is to focus on those transitions. Like where he said, the pause, like the day after retreat, the retreat actually didn't end when he walked out of the retreat cottage or the beautiful cabin he has on the beach, and I'm really jealous of all of his lay rooms. I want that, right? He builds those. It's not like building extra days in. It is the retreat. Like that the transition is the retreat. And I started thinking about when you were talking, I was like, yeah, that's exactly what Arya Sangha did. He left retreat, right? I just kind of imagine, he left retreat, we always say that he left retreat because he didn't meet Maitreya yet. But I kind of imagine that, here he is walking around being like, how does the world changed? Right. And all of a sudden he sees a dog on the side of the road who needs help. We all know the story and what happens. He, through an act of actual pure compassion, not just for the dog, but for all the animals that were feeding off the dog, right? And taking care of each and every one of them, each and every living being. Someone asked about bodhicitta last night, right? It's that, then the magic happened, right? Because what I have found in general is that I want the magic to happen in retreat. I want the change. I want it now. Why am I not seeing it directly? Like, my precious.
Sorry.
And then you're trying so hard in retreat to have realizations that, retreat is seed planting time. It is like you are planting such different seeds, powerful seeds that are not in your normal world. You're zipped up, right? And I'm not saying realizations can't happen in retreat, because they do, but not because you tried. Mm-hmm. The moment you stop trying, because it's all a flow of karma anyway, right? Even the trying is a flow of karma, and then the not trying is a flow of karma. That'd be an interesting example. That'd be interesting. Like, how do we plant the seeds to not try so hard and just trust the flow? I don't know. So that's a question I have for you, Peter, since I've talked enough. How does, so now we're in the container, right? How do we trust the flow? Like, what is your experience in not trusting it or fighting it?
Yeah.
That's a very cool question. Thank you, Tim. I think, and this was actually the biggest topic of the last 7-week retreat, which we just finished for me. That was the topic. So, I think there are a couple of things, and I'll build up to my final answer. But one thing which is very beautiful with retreat, which again, when people ask us, should we do retreat? One thing that I personally, with Maria, I think I didn't ask you, but I'm taking you into which we can guarantee you, if you follow this path, if you do retreat in the Diamond Way system, eventually, you will know as an experience that it's possible for you to see emptiness directly in this life. It will become a fact for you. Not that you have the experience, I didn't say that. But if you do retreat, pretty soon, like give it, a couple of months, you will know that in that zip up mental space, you personally will be able to actually pull it off. And that is unbelievable. To know that you can do it, which I'm not saying you did it, that's a different story. But you will get a taste, and you will know that if you keep doing this thing, whatever that is, you will be able to pull it off. It's changing your life in dramatic ways. I compare it again. I haven't seen emptiness directly. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying you will see emptiness directly necessarily immediately, but I guarantee you, and we guarantee you, if you do a retreat, you will know it's possible. And that's a little bit. It's not the same thing, but it's a little bit like what Geshe-la is saying. He has seen emptiness directly. There's still good and bad things, but not much can bother him because he has seen his future. Now, we haven't, or I don't know, but I haven't. But just the fact that you have touched a mental space in you where you know that it's possible is tremendous. It's priceless. It's absolutely incredible. You know that this thing that we're doing and have been working on for years or decades is actually working. And so when people ask us about how was your retreat, we sometimes do Zoom calls. I don't know if people get it, but I always say, look, there's this American idiom, which you maybe can explain better than me, but what's on the can is in the can. Have you heard that? Yeah, come on. It's a reference, you know. If on the Coca-Cola bottle, for example, it says there's 20 grams of sugar in it, you don't know if it's really in it until you open the Coke and drink it. And so when you say what's on the can is in the can, means what this path promises you is actually working. It's true, which is tremendous. So please help me again to your question. You forgot it also?
It doesn't matter because because what we're talking about is when you have a confirmatory experience that you're like, this is true. There's no one who can tell you it's not.
No.
And that's what is motivating, I believe, me, and I know these practitioners pretty well, that like I want everyone to touch that experience.
Yes.
Like, so you don't doubt anymore.
Yes.
There's no doubt anymore.
Yes. Now remember your question. One thing that I want to warn you, which was a big thing for me in this, it is my 10th retreat, 9th retreat. I tried different strategies. I was pushing. I can be pretty stubborn and high energy and trying to reach goals. And that's necessary, but it won't get you over the finish line for sure, which is what he said. It was like, that's one of my retreat realizations. Thank you. That how can you stop trying so hard? Here's my tip. Subconsciously, at the very least, we all have a mental image in our mind about what we think Geshe Michael saw when he saw emptiness directly. All of us. You never thought of, you can't write it down, you probably can't make a picture of it, but we all have some kind of expectation about how that is going to look like. Here's the bad news. For sure, you will not have exactly the same experience as Geshe Michael, because you're a different individual, you have different karma. You're a different individual, you have a different karma. That does not mean you're not going to see emptiness directly, quite the opposite. But about the pushing, about letting go of the trying so hard. If you can put aside what you think the experience might be, and just try to write that down and say, I'll think about you later when I'm out of retreat again, and let go of that cramp that you have in your heart, that I have in my heart, about reaching a certain idea that I don't even understand. It will tremendously make it easier for you to relax. And the second thing, and then I'm done, I do believe that in order to see emptiness directly, you have to have moments where your identity drops, where you are, and that's not a firework. Like angels are not coming to your identity has dropped, congratulations, 20 points or something. It's a silent stopping of something. It's a very maybe unspectacular, if you have not trained it, you might not even recognize it, slipping away of a mental sound, who you think you are, which suddenly stops. And that only can happen if you learn to get into a flow and into a not trying so hard. Why? Because when you try very hard, that's identity. So the trying identity is stopping you from let go of an entity, which is brutal.
But it also doesn't mean that we don't try.
God, no.
And that's why we have the structures. That's why we have the sadhanas. That's why we have all of these constructs, let's call them, so that those kinds of things can happen, right? Now, one of the things you said, Peter, and I have one more question here for Maria, is, one of the things that happens when you see emptiness directly, and I don't know who any of you are up here or out here, is
I'm
that
Maria.
emanation, and is that there's certain cessations that you have. There's certain things that just stop entirely forever. And one of those cessations is a cessation of doubt, right? Where you no longer have doubt on the path at all. It's just like, it's true. I mean, it's not a small thing. It's tremendous. It's a different. However, if you're not yet an Arya, you may have had some confirmatory experiences that, okay, this is the path, right? But doubt still comes up, and it can come up in retreat. It can come up outside of retreat. As our lives progress, these feelings of, and I would even say that sometimes they come up even stronger after you've done this kind of work than they did before. And you're like, God damn it, I'm supposed to be getting closer to enlightenment, and my afflictions are worse. Like, and for me, doubt plays a big role that I'm constantly, it's like a meditation. And so what I'm wondering, Maria, if you have any doubts left, or if you don't have any doubts left, please remind us what they were like. What did you like? How do you navigate that? Like in retreat and then out of retreat, the doubts of like, am I doing it? Am I doing something worthwhile?
That's such a good, important question. In this last retreat, I actually had one moment, and it was really hard. I didn't have it before. I was like really, like I'm studying this wisdom since 2012, which is, I don't know, 14 years, right? And I do retreats, I finish ACI courses, I teach, I study, I practice, I meditate every day. I mean, I do a lot. I put my whole life on the table. Yeah, like my whole life, I'm like, I bet on this. That's my goal. I want to get enlightened this life. And honestly, I never before had doubts. I'm just like I don't know, powerful rocket. I'm going, just going forward. Stubborn also, I guess. Yeah, I'm just like, let's do it. Like pushing also. And I never had doubts before. Somehow I have amazing seeds to really believe in the path, really believe in my teachers. Since I met Geshe Michael, John Brady, Connie O'Brien, Peter Myrtle, I have amazing seeds. I'm like, that's it. That's the way. And I did not have doubts. But last retreat, after all these years, I start to doubt not the path, not the wisdom, and not the teachers, but myself. I'm like, I'm tired. I'm really trying so hard. It's my fucking 10th retreat. And I mean, where is that emptiness? Where is like, where's the pot on the stove? No, I mean, 10 retreats, it's a lot. It's not easy, really. And I'm like really doing everything I can. I cannot say I'm doing a little bit. I'm doing everything I can. I cannot do more, okay? I cannot do more than I was doing all these years. Not possible for me. Like everything, I'm doing everything I can. And then it's like, I don't know, desperation or something. It's like, well, I don't know, what am I doing wrong? Why am I not reaching the goals? And I do know, I feel I'm getting closer. Uh, I I have a feeling it's possible. I believe it's possible to reach all these goals. But I start to doubt myself. I'm like, but like here I am sitting in this retreat, and like I don't know, maybe I'm doing something wrong. And what I realize actually is that what I'm doing wrong is that I am so much holding on to the goal. Where is it? Where is that emptiness? Where is that pot on the stove? Like I'm so grasping at the goal. And I'm like, where is it? When do I reach it? Like instead of focusing on just joyfully planting the seeds, creating causes. And that was a huge realization for me. I'm like, let go, relax. You don't know when it's happening. Just focus on planting the seeds. Relax. I even wrote a little prayer. I gave it to you as a gift also. The last line of this prayer, it's a prayer for myself and for Peter also, maybe. The last line of the prayer says, I trust my seeds and angels, and I allow myself, I trust my seeds and angels. I trust my teachers, and I believe in karma, that good intentions always lead to good results. And I allow myself to not know what is next. And relax. Don't stop being so attached, so grasping into the goal. Like relax, just plant the seeds. And it's not easy. It's not, for me, it's not easy, but that's where I am right now. That's what I'm working on. But more like focus on joyfully planting the seeds. Don't think about the goal. Trust your seeds, trust your teachers, trust the path, trust the Buddhas, trust team.
So I had a plan and it just worked out perfectly. There's an assignment for you. You don't have to do it, but I highly recommend trying this. Between today and tomorrow, I'd like you to write a letter, not to yourself. Well, to yourself, but who's writing the letter? Your future you. The future you who has achieved some goal. You can do the whole thing, future Buddha you, if you want to go all the way. Or you can think about future you, even just after this 6-day, 5-day retreat.
How about future millionaire?
If that's what it is, great. Like future, whatever the future you is, write a letter to you from that point of view. Okay. And it's not just write a letter, but it's like, talk about the things that you did. Talk about what your life is like right now. Talk about the struggles that you remember having before you achieve those goals, which could also include your current struggles, right? And talk about it from the point of view as already complete. Okay. Then what you're going to do, you're going to fold it up, you're going to seal it, write your name on it, and you're going to put it in this box. Okay. And then after the retreat, ACI staff, didn't tell you this was happening, is that we're going to set them out and you're going to grab them. Okay. Your own. Yes. Please don't grab someone else's, but the idea is to write it. Future you is writing it and then drop it in the box. Okay. That's why this box is here. You can't read other people's letters. We can't read Hector's letter, although I'll sneak it, But the point is take that moment to think about think about your future. future you who embody that. Like, you know, all of you, all of the three of them up here have talked about embodying a different being. Take that shape, take that feeling, imagine, feel, embody, cultivate that being, and write a letter to you from the future. And then drop it off and forget about it. Like, by the way, we have papers and notebooks, and so I don't know where they are. They're in the corner. We have notebooks if you need them. Geshe suggested to journal on your retreats. Grab a notebook. They're free. So that's what I suggest doing. So tomorrow, before the closing ceremony, you can come by whenever you want. Just drop it in, and then we'll get that back to you afterwards. All right. Cool. So we have about 8 minutes left. Questions. Natasha has her own microphone, so I think she has a question. Here, take my.
Thank you. Thank you for such a beautiful session, for your insights and for your examples. It's, as you say, it's very rare. Yeah, it's very rare to hear people talking about their experience in retreat, because I believe it's very personal and intimate. My question is, you've done many, many retreats, and I'm sure you had a lot of insights, you know, realizations, and you have the view of your path to get where you want to. So how do you keep your insights always year and year after on your path and incorporate into your practice? Because we have so many practices and tools, but you had something magical happen in your retreat. And so how you do that, you don't forget, and then you keep part of your path, that insight, which I believe will bring me closer to my goal. Hector?
Thanks, I've got it. Yeah. I'll be really honest, okay? Every one of you will have deep experiences. If you do this, you will have very deep experiences that show you some beautiful, beautiful thing about you. Try to remember it. Yeah. I'm lucky because I teach a lot. And so I'm always giving away in a secret way the realizations I've had. I can't give the realizations, but I can invite people to have that experience when I'm teaching something. So I'm lucky. I teach every day. I have a beautiful group of students and we are close. The honest thing is, you will change your experience of that realization as you evolve. When you get a different realization in the future, that realization will look different. And so I trust that for me, a realization is deep when it confirms the path that we're on. It's always some confirmation. Oh, the Lama was everything. I heard it 30 years, and yesterday I'm like, wow. Finally, it's a realization that confirms your efforts. Yeah, everything is like that. So then you also have to be flexible, that if you forget, it's already inside you subconsciously, it's running. Yeah. So don't try to keep all the realizations, give the flexibility, and like Masha, is it? Yeah.
Maria.
Maria. Like Maria said, you trust. At some point, you trust. If you're trying too hard to make your practice this one thing, you're missing out the entire space around it. Yeah, trying this. No, it's everything. So trust yourself. Yeah, and keep doing it. Keep doing it.
Thank you so much.
I thank you, Hector, for saying that. I also realized that when we talk about, realizations or insights, they are not something other than what you already know. It's not that like suddenly, I have to dig a hole in Alaska to get enlightenment. No, I mean, it's the most beautiful realizations from it is exactly like Hector said, a physical or mental confirmation of that what we are doing is exactly on spot. And if that happens, you don't need to remember the realization so much because you already keep doing what you're doing and you're like, oh my God, I'm on the right path, right? And then you keep doing what you're doing. So it's not that you have great moment in retreat and then suddenly decide to become a ski racer or a car. I don't know. It's a confirmation that what we're doing is right, which is beautiful.
And then the other thing I would add into that is is that old seeds, old habits may reassert themselves following these kinds of experiences. And then it kind of can feel like you've gone backwards when you felt like you went forward, but now you went 10 steps back. And that's part of the path as well, and they're just seeds ripening, and then you get clarity, you get even more wisdom into what's in your bank account still, like what's hanging out in your karmic bank account that's expressing itself. And then you know the right action to take. And sometimes it can be, new trees pop out and you're like, and that's part of the process. Yeah. Another question. Stevan, do you want? Is it really time? 1 minute. Okay. Well, we'll have, if you have more questions about retreat, I will be at dinner. I can't speak for these folks here if they have other plans, but there are other teachers who will be around. So please don't hesitate to ask your questions. I believe we have 2 more short classes today to talk more about the retreat logistics and also the retreat, what we're going to be doing in it. So you'll have opportunities to ask those questions. So thank you all very much for joining. Thank you, Hector,
Thank you, Tim.
Maria, Peter.
Good luck, everyone. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was awesome. Power retreat. Power.
Thank you for joining with us on this season master class, Siddhartha. We hope the session brought insight and inspiration for all people here. This is a wonderful class. So many thank you, teacher, and everybody share with us ACI by how. Thank you so much.